Welcome back. I'm Tedward. Welcome to beautiful, sunny Southern California, and welcome to the all-new Chevrolet Colorado. This one is the Trail Boss trim, and we're also going to be driving the Z71 on and off-road in today's video. And the all-new generation has quite a bit more to offer than it did in the past. First, you notice the new body lines. This truck has grown up quite a bit. No longer is it the cheap fleet vehicle, the rental from Home Depot. No, it actually feels like an appropriate thing that you'd want to park and look back at. I like the bulges, and this is a real big contender up against the Ranger and the Tacoma, and Chevrolet sales have been speaking volumes to that. But new for 2023, we have a 2.7 liter 4-cylinder turbo, the L3B. You can get them in the standard trim and you can get the high output trim. They both have 310 horsepower. However, this without the high output has 391 pound-feet of torque, with the high output putting out 430 pound-feet of torque. The new engine has a lot to offer. It's robust and it's basically making more power than the V6 and more torque than a diesel. So it's doing a lot of work for us. Sticking us to the road in this trim is a Goodyear all-terrain 265 section tire on 18-inch wheels. There are different wheel options and interchangeable with Silverado, because you'll notice there are 6 lugs, and this is the same shared bolt pattern as the Silverado, giving us a lot more options for accessories. We're going to explore its off-road prowess, but obviously you can tell this Trail Boss is lifted in comparison to the Z71. It's 2 inches higher and 3 inches wider. And one cool thing about these is that in the old Colorado, people were removing this front valance in order to get better approach angles and not destroy pieces of their car when they're off-roading. This is actually now very easy to remove. It's a purposefully removable piece on the vehicle now. Out back, we still have wonderful functionality with the side step to get into our beautifully lined bed. There's some hinges and hitches over there in order to tie things down, and this bed is receded in just a bit, so it adds a lot of space in order to get things in and out. Our tailgate, it's open. We have this little cubby in order to protect some things. There is a rubber gasket to keep water out, and then you can just lock it like so. This is sometimes a little clunky, and it's okay. I think it's going to do the job, and if you just need to keep a couple things back there protected and safe, you'll be just fine. And if you wanted to put, say, like an 8x8 piece of wood back here, and you needed to have it set up on the tailgate, you can pop this in like that on both sides, and then now this is supported. The lower trim Colorados with the lower output engine, the WT and the LT, the work truck and the LT, only tow 3,500 pounds. However, every trim level above that tows 7,700 pounds. So that makes this a pretty formidable tow rig if you need it. Inside, we have plenty of room for things and friends. We've got Jake here from Out Motorsports helping us today, which is great. We've been having fun filming and just charging off-road, which is great. Rear seats, reasonable room, nothing to write home about though, because this is the Trail Boss. It's more of a base spec. So the Z71, which you'll see in a minute, has a far superior interior. However, this still gets the screen. Even the work truck, the lowest level of this vehicle, gets the big screen with Apple CarPlay. You just don't get the nice leather steering wheel or the heated and ventilated seats in the Trail Boss. Let's take a look under the hood. And under here, that is our L3B, making all of the fun noises. They did some specific tuning to make it sound less 4-cylinder-y, and I think it still sounds like a 4-cylinder. However, it sounds more like a diesel than it does a petrol engine. Now, unlike the work truck, there is some foam and some noise reduction in this on the injectors and things, because the work truck, they didn't really care. They're like, look, we're just taking the bare bones method of this, and this is just all open. But any other trim above that and the LT is getting some of the noise reduction. So that's enough about that. Let's get out and see how it drives. Joining me today is Jake from Out Motorsports.
Hello.
Let's toss the Z71 into drive and go see how the premium off-roader handles on some fun back roads. There's another friend. Look at that. Lots of Chevy Colorados out today. First, we're going to tackle this monster berm. Oh yeah. Okay, we're gonna do some real off-roading later, but there's no one behind us. Let's just kick this off with a little acceleration test. So this is the high output version of the Z71, the L3B, the new 2.7 liter turbo 4-cylinder. It's made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's giving me smooth shifts, and in comparison to the WT or the work truck, it's noticeably more torquey. There's more power up top. It's 310 horsepower. That doesn't change between the regular and the high output. However, this does have a heck of a lot more torque, and it's funny because I'm feeling it up top, so it definitely is boosting higher through the rev range. Oh, a little roly-poly, but it's getting the job done. One thing we've noticed while we're driving this thing is because we're on the all-terrain tires, it's a little bit loud and it's a little bit bouncy on the highway, so I'm not getting, and you can hear all of our stuff moving around in the back. It's not exactly a luxurious thing. Even though it looks to be sort of the luxury truck, the Z71 is a handsome thing, and all the touch points that I've got directly in front of me are nice. You know, I always looked at these trucks as like the baby trucks, as like, wow, you know, it's just a Colorado. It's not anymore. This has nice features. I've got heated and ventilated. Sorry, I'm not going to say cooled. You're going to yell at me if I say cooled. I don't think they're cooled. I think they're just ventilated. But you do have heated and ventilated seats. That seems like pretty premium. And now it looks, we've already talked about the appearance of the thing, but like it looks more grown up, it looks more aggressive, and it feels a lot more like a Silverado. Just like sedans have grown up so much in every possible segment. I mean, look at a Sentra. That's a pretty large car. Look at my Civic Type R is the size of what an Accord used to be.
Do you need sport mode? Is there sport mode?
I don't know.
Should we find out?
If you can find a sport mode, by all means. Steering, it is light. It's not the most tactile. I would like a little more feedback through my fingertips, and I'm not gaining that with this vehicle. Ooh, wow. Look at the graphics. Those are full-on like press photos. That's nice. That's pretty nice.
No sport.
No sport. We just have normal off-road, that whole thing. This 2.7 liter 4-cylinder is kind of a game changer for this vehicle and for the segment, and there's a lot of little changes. Now, obviously, they've made this incredibly robust. Chevrolet has told us about the testing they went through with this engine, which was like some of the most abusive stuff I've ever heard. For example, they put these engines in dyno rooms at like negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit and then just started them and revved the hell out of them. Like, those were the stress tests. They put them through really ugly cold cycles. They put them through lots of idle cycles. They put them through towing cycles. And one thing that this is really good at is staying cool, because it has an electric water pump which can spin at a speed that is required to keep the engine alive, rather than just being beholden to the engine speed. So you're towing up a long, steep hill, you're using all of the torque, you're producing all of the heat, your turbo is glowing red, and lo and behold, there's a long red light at the top of that hill. Well, your water pump won't be spinning at idle. It's electric, so it can just spin as fast as it needs to keep fluids moving and cooling your engine. That's always nice to know. Driving dynamics. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed with this truck because it's easy to drive, it's easy to jump into, and although it's off-road focused, most people are not gonna go hardcore off-roading in their Colorados, or at least if they do, most of their miles are gonna be spent on the road, on the highway, commuting. And I do feel like for an entry level, for a mid-sized truck, this is giving me like livability vibes. I don't feel like I'm making some concession. I think my favorite feature in this entire vehicle is this singular button. I don't know why it earned the first position in this entire layout, but it puts down every window. Go. And there goes all my stuff. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't put them back up. There's a button that shows down. You can only put this down, so you can't like lift it up and go, oh good, I put all my things down. But I do like that. I think that's really fun. I do wish that it would put them all up at the same time. I like the tactility of the cabin. Now, there is a little bit of, cheapness in some of these things and these knobs, but unlike the work truck, you do get a little LCD display, so you can have like automatic climate control. Unlike the work truck, the lower base version of this, it's just a spinny knob. Do you want hot or cold? Those are your options. This has dual zone climate control. You have all these buttons now filled out with fun little treats. Always good. And I dig that they integrated this screen more into the dashboard. It's not like a tablet sat up atop the dashboard, because people get really mad about that. They've always complaining in my Civic about that. I think it's nice, but the thing about this is it's reachable, and because I can put my hand here, I can use my thumb to hit the buttons where, it's inconvenient for me to not feel what they are, because like I would like to drive the vehicle and not crash into the Tundra hitting the brakes in front of me. So that means that I've got to be able to like center myself. And when people put these displays up and they just assume that you're going to like hover your little shaky finger in a truck over it, it's just not going to work. So to put the high output motor to the test, we've got some hills to climb. And man, this is really coming alive around 5,000 RPM, which I did not feel in the lower spec engine. So this could be worth it when it comes to how you're going to spec your vehicle out. And although it doesn't sound like much more than a 4-cylinder, it does behave smoothly and it feels robust. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. There's always that sensation when you're in like a small engine that's supposed to do a lot of work that, oh man, it's just going to rattle itself to death. And it does pull to redline very smoothly. And it doesn't really need to be at redline, because even here, under 2,000 RPM, I can get on it. Man, you got to really push into the steering to get it around a corner. It still has loads of torque. In terms of braking, nice, positive, progressive brakes. I don't have any concerns. I'm not diving into them too much because I don't want to put lovely Jake's face through this dashboard.
It's all I got. I appreciate that.
But, with a truck like this where it has a towing capacity of 7,700 pounds, you would certainly think that the brakes are going to be confidence-inspiring when you have nothing but a couple of burly dudes inside.
Make a Colorado SS for people like us so we can come back here and do these roads again.
There needs to be an LS in this thing, and there needs to be a rear-wheel drive Colorado that has like an LS7 in it.
I'm sure Chevy can make a marketing case for that. I'll get right on it.
So yeah, that's my wish list, is the Colorado Z06. Bit of steering lock is required. And look, we're in a pickup truck, okay? It doesn't matter. My comments on like it's turn in and all this stuff, that doesn't really matter that much. Could I ask for a little more? Sure. But I do feel like I've got to go like shuffle steer to get it around a corner. It does handle and behave fairly neutrally. Like I kind of had expected this to already be like pushing and understeering, and it's not. I think this is where, if you're like in tight stuff, this is where this 8-speed, it's doing its best for fuel economy. Like I can tell that it doesn't want to give me that downshift right away, because it's like, no, build up the boost. Let's see what we can do at 2,000 RPM before I send you to redline. But overall, like incredibly smooth shifts. There's a little bit lacking in the way of throttle response, like coming out of these corners. Just calling it like I see it, I'm not really complaining, because I don't think I'm going to go hustle this thing through a canyon in any other situation. As you can see, we're no longer on road. We are now off road in the Z71, and we're going to be going through the obstacle. I actually don't know what this looks like yet, but I'm excited to see it. We are in off-road mode, and I'm going to put our cameras on. This has like 10 cameras around the vehicle, and it actually shows you under the car, under body. Unfortunately, it's filthy because I think it was wet yesterday, but that's nice that you can actually see the rocks and stuff that's happening right there. So not only are you looking in front of you and behind you, you can look underneath. All right, this is pretty gnarly. Wow, look at the articulation on this. I'm pretty psyched. Glad I've got my cameras. All right, cool, cool, cool. Wow. The whole truck feels like it's about to split in half. Wild. Doing truck stuff. All right, so this is the coolest camera system because it's showing under the truck as well. Now that one's filthy dirty because yesterday I think they had some rain, so they didn't clean that, which is going to be like a thing. You're going to have to like...
How do you clean those?
You're going to have to go and spray it, I guess. That's a weird thing. That is an awkward situation in terms of cleaning cameras. But hey, I'd rather have them and clean them than not have them. But like this is great because it actually shows you like what's going on under there, which is helpful because there are some pretty gnarly rocks out here and you never know. This is so cool though. Look, you can see the drive shaft spinning.
Oh, that's so neat.
Oh yeah. So let's go jump in the Trail Boss and see how that does, because the Trail Boss is 2 inches lifted compared to the Z71, and it's also 3 inches wider. We've got tons of room to play with here, so width is not really an issue. And even at 3 inches wider, I don't think this is a particularly wide truck to begin with.
Again, on the downhill here, using your control.
So now that we've done a little off-roading in the Z71, it's time to get out in the Trail Boss, which is a little more stripped down in terms of creature comforts, but it is 2 inches higher and 3 inches wider. So we got this big old fender flares. We've got quite a wide track that's giving us a bit more stability, less risk of rolling over off and careening out of these canyons. But you know, overall, I think this is like definitely more suited for these trails because it's softer. It doesn't have quite as much aggression when going over these bumps and things. So it is actually more comfortable inside, despite the fact that you don't have the heated and ventilated seats. Otherwise, you know, it's a Colorado as usual. The Trail Boss also does not get a telescoping wheel. It goes up and down, but unlike the Z71, it does not telescope. So you're gonna have to find that ideal seating position. The seat still does go decently low, but I gotta say, I do miss the telescoping wheel. Unlike the Z71 with 10 cameras, we have front and rear cameras, which is quite helpful, but we don't get to see our drive shaft working. What we do have though is these side views, which is great because then, you know, if you're parallel parking, probably not gonna tear up these wheels because you've got so much sidewall. But I am pretty thankful considering the rocks that are out here on the sides of this trail. So that'll do it. Let's go and finish this off. Immediately, the suspension in the Trail Boss feels a lot more compliant. Ooh, that's good stuff. It's so tempting to just go and take the racing line.
Inside line always.
This is why I'm not an off-roader, because I'm like, oh, I could just pass these guys. From a powertrain perspective, it just disappears behind the truck because like at low speeds and stuff, this 2.7 liter turbo, it spools up so quickly. There's so much low down torque that I'm never fighting with the engine to get what I want, which is great. So even in really steep, ugly ruts, I can just apply a little bit of throttle and it drags its way out in a nice, smooth, linear fashion. I like that. Good wave of torque down low. It's exactly what you want. So I just keep feeling like this is remarkably softer than the Z71, and that's making this feel like the buy for me. I'm really digging the Trail Boss. I wasn't expecting to, but right now, to me, this is the way to go. I always think the softer truck is the way to go. This is like one of the reasons I like Raptors and ZR2s and things of that nature, because it translates into like nicer street driving as well. I mean, New England and Michigan roads are not pretty. And when you have a compliant suspension that allows you to do this off-road, it also means you get a pretty sweet ride over the crummy stuff. But overall, I just think that this Colorado Trail Boss, for me, this is the pick of the litter until the ZR2 comes out. But I just think the Z71, while I love all the creature comforts in it, it's a little stiff for me. And even in the off-roading situation, I prefer a softer vehicle because it makes off-roading a little more palatable and it doesn't shatter your teeth and doesn't make you feel like you're ruining anything. Having to slow down just so I can keep my microphones in my ear, so if that's any indication of lateral G-force, that's helpful. Just kind of playing with it to see what she'll do. It just kind of pushes wide, so you just got to ride out that understeer and be cautious on the throttle. She ain't no GR Corolla, boys. The throttle response is a little bit delayed, but the transmission tune, it really wants to keep it in the low revs. So it's not letting me kind of sit there unless I select it. I can do that myself if I so choose with these little buttons, but I just want to see what the car is going to do. I want to see what it's happy with. So that is going to do it for the new 2023 Chevrolet Colorado. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. I hope this is helpful in your next pickup truck choice. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.